Hello again. This is Ryan with the Ryan Report, and today we're going to discuss the court of last resort, meaning the Supreme Court of the United States. But let's be honest about it, folks. We are down to our last hopes to salvage American democracy. Look around you, as I have done, to calculate and evaluate the damage done and damage being done to our bold experiment. In an incredibly short spell of a Nazi-inspired elected rule. So imagine that in only 8 months or so this fucking madman Trump and his sycophants, acolytes, and camp followers have managed to wreak havoc using some of the old Nazi German tactics, Project 2025, and some they have thought up all by their little selves. We are in the hands of an evil psychopath, and those who manipulate him, his puppet strings surely attached, allowing him to exercise his sociopathic hatreds, fantasies, and lunacies, with them really running our country all by themselves. And they sit in the deep shadows in back of him. And the last hope is a court of last resort, the Supreme Court of the United States, which, with its facilitating and enabling Nazi majority, demonstrating, as they have in the past, their full intention to march us all straight into fucking hell. Not merely to a already rejected theoretical unitary executive rule, but a complete George Orwell 1984 style tyranny from which we will not recover.
36 years ago, one man had a haunting and terrifying vision of what the world might become before the end of the 20th century. A world held in the grip of fear. A world of absolute conformity, of continuous surveillance and organized hatred. George Orwell's vision became the world's biggest-selling futuristic novel. Now, 1984 has been brought to the screen with a cast to match its stature. John Hurt, the solitary rebel.
There is truth and there is untruth, even if I am alone.
Richard Burton in his last screen role. Hypnotic, sinister.
You asked me once what was in room 101. The thing that is in room 101 is the worst thing in the world.
Susanna Hamilton, the girl whose love can transform a secret dream into a dangerous reality.
They can't get inside you. They can't get to your heart.
1984.
I have already covered the civil war raging within the judiciary. I've done that in another podcast, where the lower courts are doing their jobs only to be rebuked and repudiated by this same Supreme Court, which hides behind the secrecy of its shadow docket, finding for Trump in virtually every emergency application brought to them from his regime, and that it comes before them to be dispensed with within one paragraph without explanation or justification. With their support and endorsement, Trump is now free from any criminal prosecution for crimes he is committing and will surely commit while in office, as he was granted an absolute immunity, setting him above our laws, and which has emboldened him to run roughshod over the original Constitution and its Bill of Rights, federal statutes, and foundation separation of powers, all constructed and legislated to avoid and prevent a tyranny of one-man rule. How absurd this is. Trump, this sick son of a bitch, is now embarked on a multifaceted campaign of retribution and revenge, the likes of which we have never witnessed in our society or our political life. Usurping the right owned by Congress, which of course lies dormant, to levy taxes, which includes the tariffs he is now implementing, having his opponents arrested, legal immigrants detained and deported without due process, his critics fired from their jobs, closing down now on free speech, First Amendment, deploying military in our streets, defunding NGOs if they do not bend to his will. Every evil and unconstitutional lever of power is being utilized to consolidate this fuckhead's power and control, while we, the petty people, walk beneath his feet. We lack the means to fight back. We are locked out, and without any realistic hope of reestablishing our rule of law, except for our extremely foolish hope that the Supreme Court might suspend its fascistic ideological beliefs if it decides the evil bastard has gone too far. Not very likely, but if so, then who is to say that Trump will not physically seize totalitarian power by ignoring any order of the court that it makes against him and his policies, and he goes on to declare an imaginary or self-created national emergency and or national crisis, invoking the Insurrection Act, which I have discussed many times in many podcasts, and getting a stooge general, now that he's replaced the independent-minded ones on the chief of staff, and his Congress, which he owns, to declare a state of martial law. So, let's give up on all the foolish and futile sidebar coverage in the media and on social media and in legacy media, such as these Jeffrey Epstein files issues. And let's focus on the real momentous events of our loss of fundamental freedoms, civil liberties, democracy, and the rule of law. Let's not waste time on examining Trump's weird hand or his drooping mouth, his disastrous pressers, and his mental incapacities. And let's give every encouragement to people like Mark Elias and the Elias Law Group, who are right in the midst of battling away on each and every core issue that comes before the courts. Voter suppression, voter registration, gerrymandering, so on and so forth. So, in the end, please subscribe and give us a like. We need all the help we can get to keep doing these podcasts. Thanks and goodbye.